so much to analyze, so much um, to really break down about Assata Shakur's life, and to understand that Assata Shakur lives in each and every one of us. And so this isn't just a teach-in that's going to educate you on how, to better understand the life and legacy of an individual revolutionary. But this is going to teach you how to become more like Assata Shakur, and to understand what separates the Assata Shakurs from a lot of the other reactionary forces, non-revolutionary forces that we may encounter, and to also understand where her courage was rooted in, because Assata Shakur was extremely prolific in her understanding, and the delivery was very intentional. And it really reminds me of how intentional we are with our words in the African People's Socialist Party. And it's one of the reasons why we are very analytical when we are publishing in the Burning Spear newspaper, of which I do encourage everyone to pick up. This is the latest edition. It reads, "Long Live Assata." Long live Assata Shakur. We sell the Burning Spear newspaper monthly, and I encourage everyone to get a subscription to this newspaper. I love to get the pictures from people when they see the cover, it's delivered to their house, and they're like, I can't wait to open this up. And what you'll find is that when you read the Burning Spear newspaper, like when you listen to Assata Shakur speak, there are different words that you'll encounter. Words like colonialism. There are different concepts and ideologies that are anti-colonial when she may say something like slaves, African slaves were political prisoners. That's a very advanced level of understanding that goes beyond the typical get free me out of jail, and moves into a theoretical analysis of her identity and her place in the world. And so when I see Assata, sometimes like she reminds me of my cousin is also my comrade. Is that a cousin? I don't know, but her name is Akile Anai, and when you hear Akile Anai speak, just like when you hear Assata Shakur speak, you will think, okay, this ain't no average everyday sister I'm dealing with. This sister knows something. This has been educated, as some of our grandparents might say. And so what the teaching will help you understand is how to talk more like Akile, sound more like Assata when you're explaining who you are, right? So that we can help guide the future. And also so that we can separate ourselves from, the rest. We are the advanced detachment, and that means that we serve as the leadership over the general masses. It's okay that we know the terms domestic colony and know that we live on a domestic colony. Because what that does is it informs you on who you are and what your role is while you're here. Yeah, I've heard some Africans say, our founding fathers. And when you move around the world and you're as an African believing that your founding father is the person who captured you and is exploiting you, then you can say, okay, there's a lack of political understanding in this situation. When you hear Assata Shakur speaks, it's the complete opposite, right? And then you'll understand, well, the question of running or escaping from prison, that becomes a political question because she didn't just escape and go to, I think some person just, some athlete just got caught in Dubai or something like that. She didn't go to just get away. She went to Cuba, and there is also a political reason for why she went to Cuba. And I want to say that, you know, when you think about political prisoner or anyone in exile, you think about someone who's hiding away, who is afraid. But when you watch the videos of Assata Shakur in Cuba, you realize the political reason she went there is because she would be protected, because there's an ideology and a worldview that allows for her to exist without fear of, you know, being arrested or something like that. And so here we are, able to not just get a teach-in where we're soaking up information and we all go home and we say, oh, it felt good, so good about Assata, you know, and her legacy, but really it's how do we become more like Assata? How do we, you know, what does that really mean in the real world? So I'm really excited to have this. There are two young, fresh faces that we have with us. We have Lee Anthony, who is working in the back. I want everybody to give him a big uhuru. This comrade is up and coming. He's going to be coming in more often. He's very interested in AV and want to promote that type of work within the community, bring the young folks in, make the revolution cool again. And then we also have Aaliyah on the side here. Aaliyah, everybody give Aaliyah a big uhuru. Aaliyah is also selling some pens in the southern region. We're building economic development. She's been working very hard. She's been making those pens out of recycled burning spears. Yes, so the large pens go for $2, the smaller pens go for $1, and all of that work, all of the resources fuel the southern region. We want to get to be fully functional, and eventually I wanted vendors, various vendors, and you know, having a big karamu at the end and really revitalizing the Uhuru House and bringing it back to how it used to be back in the day. And also want to salute our performer, Jameer Jenkins, who's going to be performing tonight. So want to give a big uhuru to Jameer Jenkins as well. Jameer Jenkins is absolutely historic, especially when it comes to performance in theater. 1 minute? All right, uhuru. So with that, our next on our program, and please do make sure you grab a program. They're located right over there. Aaliyah will make sure to hand you one. Aaliyah, can you make sure everyone has a program, please? Yes. And the final message is, you know, explore the program. So the program has the lyrics to the African Nation Fight song. Aaliyah, can you come up here with me, please? We're going to perform we're going to have the lyrics right here. It's in the program to the African Nation Fight song, and we will get this started. The lyrics are on the screen. And then the lights, we'll dim those lights as well. Here. And then we'll sing, you and me. Hold it. What's that? Sorry. Yes.
Africa's best daughters and sons. black and green for you and me. We are winning. Won't stop the fight till we are free. We are winning. African workers, we must unite. We are winning. Against white power, the parasite. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Viva Haiti, who first set us free. We are winning. Carry the torch of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. We are winning. Ou peut-être, ou les cailles. We are winning. We will rejoice when the colonizers die. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Fight like Fannie Lou and Malcolm too. We are winning. Remember our struggle, always be true. We are winning. From Harlem to Brazil to Tanzania. We are winning. We fight and live for free Africa. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning.
Someone great job, Leo. Leah, way to go. Revolutionary singer. All right, go ahead and get your brother Lee Anthony. We're gonna do something. We're gonna read the African pledge. African pledge is something that I grew up hearing over and over. Lee Anthony's gonna recite that. All right. And I'm looking for. All right. We have Lee Anthony. He's going to recite the African pledge.
I pledge allegiance to my African.
Oh, hold on, say this fist up. There you go. Everybody fist up.
I pledge allegiance to my African people. I pledge allegiance to develop my mind and body to the greatest extent possible. I will learn all that I can in order to give my best to my people in our struggle for liberation through revelation. I will keep myself physically fit, building a strong body free from drugs or other substances, which weaken me and make me less capable of defending myself, my family, and my African brothers and sisters. I will unselfishly share my knowledge and understanding with others in order to bring about change more quickly. I will discipline myself to direct my energies thoughtfully and constructively rather than wasting my time in idle hatred. I will train myself never to hurt or allow others to harm my African brothers or sisters. For I recognize that we need every African man, woman, and child to be physically and mentally, psychologically strong. These principles I pledge to practice daily. These principles I pledge to practice daily and teach them to others in order to unite my people in struggle for freedom and independence. Yuruhu.
It's important that we carry on revolutionary traditions. You find that the holiday season's coming up and everybody's talking about Thanksgiving and everybody is, or Thanksgiving. It's all a rush to get all your money. And there were releasing reports, you find the economic reports are saying, oh, well, the wealth of the average American has increased to $1.4 million. Wow. Up from 1.1 on average. Now, this is including your Elon Musk. This is including your Jeff Bezos. So I went and I decided, well, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's see what the median is. And then let's see what it is for the African community versus the white community. Because when you hear averages, if you bring up an average, what's the first person you're going to say? Well, that includes Elon Musk. That includes all the billionaires. So that's not me. I'm just like you, African. Sorry, it's hard to even say that without laughing. And so you look up the median numbers. So for the white families, it's on average a median stated, some number like 248,000 in median. So this is like, the white people in this room, your average every day. And then for the African community, they, said something like 44, just about 45,000. And I remember even Chairman Omali Shatella was at the Oxford Union discussing the question of reparations and saying that by their own estimates, it would take 223 or 28 years for the income of the average African to match that, at least to the average white person. I ain't got all that time. 220 years. We said freedom in our lifetime. We said reparations now. And so, we just have to really, address and analyze the world that we really live in and what's really going on. Right. Because they try to say we all the same. We're not in the same condition. So speaking of the white community, we're going to have Solidarity come up and do a presentation around the political question of, one, their role and the history of Assata Shakur, but also their role as it relates and pertains to African communities now and how we can change this and overturn this situation, overturn this culture of violence, as Penny Hess once said. So with that being said, I'm going to call up Chair Jesse. I'm sorry, you know how it is. When you get an emotion, when the lights turn on, I don't know what's going to happen. Chair Jamie of USM, the Southern Region, to do a presentation. And I want to salute this comrade. And well, I really want to salute this comrade. Some of you may have seen that his work from the Artists Against Genocide, that was such an incredible benefit concert that benefits the work that we do. It benefits the African community. So this is what, you can rock out and pay reparations at the same time, So that's kind of rock. I get down with that. So I really want to salute this incredible work because this is truly changing the world. This is the world that I want for Lee Anthony and for Aaliyah and you too. So, uhuru, comrade.
Thank you, comrade. Uhuru. Uhuru. Let's hear it for Representative Jainaba Lumumba and that incredible opening. Right on. All right. So we're gonna. Is it gonna come up here in a second? Okay. Give me just a second. Let me get open so I can get my notes. But let me just begin by saying, long live Assata Shakur. Uhuru. And let me say, long live the African Revolution. Long live. Uhuru. So as Rep. Jainaba said, my name is Jamie Simpson, and I have the honor of being the coordinator of the Southern region of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And as I'm sure everybody in this room knows, Uhuru is a Swahili word that means freedom. So what is the Uhuru Solidarity Movement? It is the organization of white people formed by and working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party and its leader, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Our mission is to organize in the white community to build a mass movement for white reparations to African people in the form of material solidarity with the African community-led struggle for African self-determination and national liberation. So, that means raising resources for the economic development and self-determination programs of the Uhuru movement, which is in effect the anti-colonial economy of the African working class. And when you get a second, we can move to the next slide, Director Akile. Thank you so much, really appreciate you. And I want to begin by saluting my leadership, our leadership. Next slide, please. And, I also want to just profoundly salute the entire National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party and the Southern region. I want to salute our leadership, Representative Jainaba Lumumba. I want to salute Director of Communications for the African People's Socialist Party, Director Akile Anayi. And I also just want to salute all the comrades in the Southern region. We've got Comrade Siaka here today. Ooh. I know Comrade Hakeem is here. And I want to salute the Southern Regional Director of Organization, Osa Haney. And I know Comrade Molina joining us today, too. Ooh. Next slide, please. So, and I would be remiss if I did not salute my leadership in the Solidarity Movement. She is the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee, Chairwoman Penny Hess. And I just want to say Penny Hess was the first white person to accept the responsibility of organizing for reparations and principled solidarity with African liberation under the leadership of the African Revolution, under the leadership of Chairman Amalia Shatella and the African People's Socialist Party. She did that all the way almost 50 years ago in 1976. I believe it was right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, when she first came to a conference that the chairman was leading, and she said yes. She accepted that responsibility and she never turned back. And she has set the mold, she has established a path for us as white people to become an actual part, a strategic component of the African liberation struggle. So I just profound salute to Chairwoman Penny Hess and also to Chair Jesse Neville, the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And I want to say that both of these incredible comrades, it is their birthday today. So I really want to salute them, Uhuru. And just to say also, of course, Chair Jesse, Chairwoman Penny, and Chairman Amalia Shatella together comprise the Uhuru three leaders in our movement. And we'll talk a little bit more about this tonight, who were targeted by the US government in the modern form of the counterinsurgency, whose main target, of course, was Chairman Amalia Shatella, and which attempted to imprison them for 15 years on bogus charges, which the greater charge they were able to beat, to absolutely defeat. And they received not one day in prison, not one dime. So I just want to salute that victory. Of course, the struggle is not over, and we will talk more about that tonight. But I just really want to salute these comrades. Guru. And the reason that we're here tonight, we want to just say long salute to and long live Assata Shakur. Not enough can be said about this comrade. And my presentation tonight will not do her justice. There will be a keynote presentation to go more deeply into the history of Comrade Assata Shakur. Next slide, please. But I think it is important to acknowledge that she humiliated the U.S. government, right? She was liberated from a U.S. colonial dungeon and made it to revolutionary Cuba, which is a profound achievement that the U.S. government was never able to do anything to mitigate that humiliation. And, just the historical connections between Assata Shakur, the Black liberation struggle, and the African People's Socialist Party is what I want to convey tonight. Chairman Amalia Shatella announced Assata Shakur has been liberated. And that actually happened during an African People's Solidarity Committee event in Oakland, California on November 2nd, 1979. And just to say, of course, for anyone that doesn't know, the African People's Solidarity Committee is the original Solidarity Committee, the original organization of white people working under the leadership of the African Revolution. It is the cadre organization that leads the mass organization of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So that event happened during an APSC event in Oakland, California. And shortly after that, of course, Assata was welcomed by Fidel Castro and the revolutionary government and people of Cuba, who we just want to salute for their profound stand of solidarity with the African liberation struggle. Well, both within the United States, and it was not just Assata Shakur, there were other African revolutionaries who Cuba supported and gave asylum, and also on the continent of Africa itself. So just not enough can be said about the contribution of revolutionary Cuba to African liberation. Next slide, please. And it was shortly after the liberation of Comrade Assata Shakur that the African National Prison Organization, which was an organization of the African People's Socialist Party, set up to address the colonial prisons. And they did a scorched earth campaign of getting out these posters. You can see an example of it here that said, Assata Shakur is welcome here. So this was a postering campaign, and the African People's Solidarity Committee was involved with it. They participated, putting up posters in homes and offices throughout the white community. And in fact, today, right, in St. Louis, at the African Independence, I'm going to mess it up, the housing program, isn't one of the one of the wings, the African Independence Workforce Program housing unit has a wing dedicated to Assata Shakur. Next slide. So I just want to quote here from Chairman Omali Yeshitela's article in the latest Burning Spear newspaper, where he wrote, Assata embodied the fierce determination of African people to be free of colonial domination, to be free, to be self-determining, regardless of the personal price. And as Chairman also said, police bullets could not stop her. Prison walls could not hold her. U.S. courts could not convict her. Decades of billboards on the New Jersey Turnpike offering a $2 million reward for info on her whereabouts never produced a snitch. Like a fish in the sea of African people, Assata represented the brilliance and courage of African resistance. Despite enduring police bullets, torture at the hands of the police, and dehumanizing conditions in prison, Assata Shakur never relented in her commitment to the African Revolution. In Comrade Assata's words, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. Next slide, please. So, we want to talk now a little bit about our role as white people, because we want to uphold Comrade Assata Shakur, but we have a specific responsibility as white people in the African liberation struggle. And that is based on our history, our recognition, right, that we have come to understand being under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party, that we as white people sit on the pedestal of the oppression of African people. The Uhuru Solidarity Movement unites with the party's analysis that African people in the US and around the world are colonized, that the wealth and power of the US, Europe, and white people in general were built on the enslavement of African people, genocide against the indigenous peoples, and the assault on the colonized peoples of the world. White people, we have been complicit. We have been participating in colonial terror against African people to secure our place on that pedestal. All white people sit on the pedestal of the oppression of African people, and all white people owe reparations. And this is something that really distinguishes us as the Uhuru movement, our recognition of this, right? That everything that we come to take for granted in this society, every dream, every aspiration, every hope for a better future, as Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, is founded on the imprisonment, the mass imprisonment of African people, on the wars and genocide against Palestinian people, on the theft of resources in Congo, on drone strikes, and violence carried out against the peoples of the world. Next slide. And as the chairman teaches us, our struggle is not against racism. This is another thing that distinguishes us. While we despise racism, we understand that it's ugly and we want to overturn it, it is not our primary struggle. The struggle that African people are engaged in is a struggle against colonialism, against a colonial mode of production, against a system founded on the enslavement of African people, the genocide of indigenous people, and a colonial mode of production, which, as the chairman has brilliantly summed up, is the very DNA of this system, right? It's how everything is produced in the global economy, founded on slavery and genocide. Next slide. And we also unite that African people have always resisted their colonial oppression. As the chairman says, from the first moment a white man set foot on Africa and forced an African person to do something against their will. African people have always resisted, always. And that's something that we uphold and something that we recognize that Assata Shakur represented a continuation of that long history of African resistance, of a refusal to submit to this system. And that is why the US government attacked her. Next slide. So the same US counterinsurgency that attacked Assata Shakur and the Black Liberation Movement in the 1960s and 70s has also attacked the Uhuru Three. Oh, thank you so much. It is the same system, right? The arrest, torture, and imprisonment of Assata was part of the US government's counterinsurgency against the African Revolution that continues to this day, as shown by the FBI's attacks on the party and the attempt to imprison Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru Three. Next slide. So this is a quote from Assata Shakur. Like most poor and oppressed people in the United States, I do not have a voice. Black people, poor people in the US have no real freedom of speech, no real freedom of expression, and very little freedom of the press. Assata Shakur. And, I think that's a really powerful and important quote. And we recognize that Assata Shakur stood for anti-colonial free speech. Not just free speech in general, not rights in general, but anti-colonial free speech. All of the state violence and repression that she faced were attempts to silence her from speaking out and organizing for the liberation of her people. Like all African and colonized revolutionaries of the 60s and 70s, she was targeted by the US government's counterinsurgency war on liberation struggles of oppressed peoples. And counterinsurgency is defined by Chairman Omali Yeshitela as the imperialist war and repression of oppressed people's struggle for liberation. And as Chairwoman Penny Hess has said, it is a war without terms. The US government waged a brutal counterinsurgency war on the Black Revolution of the 1960s. Next slide. And we have to talk about white left opportunism, right? Because white left opportunism turned its back on the African-led revolution of the 60s as the US government counterinsurgency intensified its attacks on the Black liberation movement. During this counterinsurgency against the African Revolution, the white left did not defend the African community, at least not in any organized or consistent way. They abandoned the struggle and or actively joined in attacking the Black Power movement. They went off and formed, white rights groups. They found environmentalism and other white rights groups on the back of the defeated Black liberation movement of the 1960s, which is important to say. It was militarily defeated. Next slide. The party formed the African People's Solidarity Committee to take on the struggle against white opportunism, to solve the problem of white people and create the basis for a principled relationship of white solidarity with African revolution. So our job is to go into the white community and build the movement for white reparations to African people as a revolutionary demand, to win white people to demand freedom for all African political prisoners and prisoners of war, and to build white solidarity with Black power. Next slide. So for white people, this is our real and meaningful way that we can honor the life and legacy of Assata Shakur. Assata Shakur, who fought to free African people from colonialism. And that struggle is not over. It is not enough to say, long live Assata. We have to be part of this struggle that is ongoing and is being led by the African People's Socialist Party. Next slide. So we just want to say, if you're here today, if you're a white person, if you're tuning in, we invite you to join the struggle against colonialism, join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We say unity through reparations. We say long live Assata. And, if I haven't made it clear, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement organizes throughout white communities in the US, Europe, and elsewhere to build a genuine anti-imperialist movement inside the belly of the beast. We hold fundraisers, we do political actions, events, studies, concerts, forums, and more to build a revolutionary culture of reparations to African people. All white people who hate injustice, oppression, and war are invited to join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and build the movement for reparations and solidarity with African liberation. Uhuru! Uhuru! Long live Assata Shakur!
Uhuru. Uhuru, excellent presentation. A beautiful history, a transformative history, one that I'm proud of. Because growing up, how many Assata Shakurs are just sitting, feeling demoralized, humiliated, and just downtrodden because of the conditions that they live in, feeling like there's no hope. You hear a lot of hopelessness in the community. You hear a lot of, it's just always going to be like this. And Chairman Omali Yeshitela would always say that revolutionaries are the true optimists because we can see a brighter future. And it goes beyond just seeing a brighter future, it goes into creating a brighter future. And, you know, as an African, sometimes you'll have other Africans come on and they'll be sort of jostled by, you know, white people being in the room when we're discussing, you know, our conditions as if they don't have a hand in it, you know? And so, and as if, you know, colonialism isn't a two-way, it's almost like, you know, it has to be a secret underground organization. But the African People's Socialist Party has been transparent from the beginning. And it's a part of the strategy. And it can be disrupting, especially for, you know, Africans, because there's also the question of protecting yourself, right? You know, we have seen the Asian provocateurs come to demonstrations and do violent things or try to disrupt. And then who gets in trouble? It's the Africans, right? And so here you have a relationship that isn't just white people and black people all getting along, kumbaya, within some group. This is a political relationship. You know, my relationship with Jamie is a political one. And through this sort of, you know, the cadre development, what it does is it allows for there to be an anti-colonial space for me to exist. Assata, you know, was fighting for that. You know what I mean? And so here we are, where we have, you know, white power and blackface, but Chairman Omali has created black power and whiteface with the objective of making reparations a household word. We've been saying reparations. When we say a household word, we talk about their house. And so we have expanded the colonial question, and now you see it on TikTok. You see the guy in New York gets elected. He's saying socialist. Trump's calling him a communist, and the Republican sector split, and we just watch it with popcorn because we seen it coming. And not only are we, you know, going beyond, because a lot of times you'll see forces who will. Well, I done talked on a little bit over the performance time. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have my time, but I'm gonna give it to Sister Jameer Jenkins. Y'all done gave me the mic. I told y'all about this thing. Sister Jameer Jenkins is an incredible comrade. I'm so proud to bring this comrade up. And side note, we played ball together. This is my teammate right now, so if we come and do a chest bump, I don't want nobody to say nothing, all right? This is such an incredible, talented sister. I'm so proud. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You taught me. That's the problem.
Oh,
okay.
No, it's good. Can y'all believe in high school? When the high school, I'm not gonna say how many years ago. Listen, I'm trying to still look young.
No, you do though. You do.
Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for inviting me back. I came to the other event and it was so wonderful to participate. And when you asked me to come back, I was overjoyed. Before I get started, I just wanted to say how important it is for everyone to tell their own stories. Keep a journal, write down freehand, however you feel, get up, write some morning pages. It is important that you control your own narrative. And that's why I wanted to share her autobiography, Assata's autobiography, her story in her own words. So many times we may see news articles and stories and things written telling what happened, and it's important to see what she said about her life. So I encourage you. Also, there were what struck me when I was reading the book, when she told about her experience that night on the highway, that she kept hearing the officer question, is she dead? Is she dead? Various moments they would keep doing what they were doing at the scene and is she dead? Expecting her to die. Right. Trying to give it enough time for her to die, and she never did. So as I go through the poem, you'll hear me say, is she dead? and I'll recall those moments. I want that to resonate with you as you go through your journey. There are things that may come in your life that are trying to take you out. Situations that are trying to make you stop trying and stop fighting for the struggle. You cannot succumb to those voices and that experience. You must live. We need everybody in the struggle. No giving up, no clocking out. We need you. And so she lives past her human experience because we say her name. We talk about what happened to her. We share her story, and we continue our personal fight, which is why she did what she did. And they're like, okay, all right, I'm good on my time. Listen, I can get going too. We must get going.
Reclaiming our time, all right? Listen.
All right, so I have been wrestling with a lot of different names for what to call it, but right now the title is Dear Most Wanted.
Ooh.
Listen, y'all gotta speak back.
Yeah,
We here together, okay?
Yeah.
Dear Most Wanted, accomplice to my revolution, patriot in exile. You did not know me, but I cried the loudest, louder than family through the who is she's. You're the world to me. If I could, I'd grandstand at your funeral, tattletale all the illegitimate daughters you had. I demand a front row seat, because without you, who would I be?
You got it, sis. All right. You got it. Take your time.
You are the thought and word, experience and evidence, a new age birther of revolution, virgin mother, auntie, comrade. Is she dead? The greatest middle finger to the man, you died free. And freedom costs. Everybody who's ever chased it knows it ain't free. Somebody gotta die. But it won't be me.
All right.
Escape. I'm free. Reverse uno, what they meant for evil to bless you. Is she dead? You taught me how to be free, how to unbend the woman they tried to place in my back, how to erase the smile they forced me, how to erase the smile they tried to force on my face. You taught me. I don't have to nice the oppressor. I can endure. I can rise. I can escape the trap they try to set for me. The cage they create to confine me will be their coffin. Beg with the same lips they curse from. No, not me. Is she dead? You can be eaten alive by other people's fantasies of you, but she lives. She lives. She lives in Black joy, in block parties and protests and rallies that want to be protests, in every flip, every drum beat, and soda and pop. We can argue about that part later. She lives in me. She can live in you. Unbend your back. Unlock your smile. Be unapologetically who God created you to be. Love who you want. Break free from every chain they try to put you in. Live free.
Yes.
Because she lives.
Girl. Now, so you ain't gonna get no culture like that on BET. You will turn you to her channel. But come to the Uhuru House, come to the Aquaba Hall, because I remember a time I got Nina Simone vibes from that. You know, Nina would talk about the times. And that's what culture should be about. It has to be inspiring to liberate the people, not to make a dollar to pacify the people. And I really, you know, she started out breaking down. I was about to break down with her. By the end, it was a wrap. And I called my little cousin to the front because, you know, this is the kind of culture I want her directly exposed to, front and center. Yeah, right on. Um, I'll never forget, and it still sticks in my head. This is just how um, impactful Jameer is in general, and I'm sure that the whole student body has been affected in this way. But I still will sometimes, if there's a good moment, I'll be like, hold my mule while I shout. That is an old African saying. But Jameer, you know, just would bring it right on back home, and dignifies African women. You see it a lot of times that just isn't happening. There's a sort of, you know, just they like to humiliate us, but I always love to see Jameer perform because it was more than a performance, you know. It's a statement. It's like a diary, you know. You get to see her perform, and it's just, it's so much deeper. So I really want to salute you for that. And I want Jameer to be a regular, you know, at places. I feel like it makes sense, you know. I don't just want that, you know, arbitrarily, but I feel like it's a good fit. You know, I feel like you belong here, and I feel like this connection is not coincidental. Um, I didn't call Jameer here. The organization brought her here, you know? And so here we are. It makes me feel at home. Um, because I'm the Southern Regional Representative. And with that, it's a huge responsibility, and we're growing, you know? I want to be able to host more events like this, not just host them, but just bring the region up to capacity to where, you know, I could see Aaliyah leading and emceeing, and just everything working seamlessly. And I'm thinking about recruitment and membership, and I can't think about recruitment and membership without my regional director of recruitment and membership, Comrade Siaka Toure, right there, looking dapper as usual. And I can't salute Comrade Siaka without saluting his incredible wife, Molina, who is always working so hard to capture the media and always sharing it with us. So really appreciate the two of you being here. And you are a part of our keynote presentation. We're going to be, you know, providing the keynote presentation on Assata's life. Again, I want to remind everybody, you know, to take the Burden Spear home. If you're not subscribed, $40, get you a year physical subscription and a digital one, because you need both. You need both because you don't want to see it come through the mail. It comes in kind of, no, it comes in folded, or does it come like this? It comes just like this, doesn't it? It's just got a little tab on each side. That way, you know, when they're dropping it in the mail, they be looking like, oh, might need to subscribe myself. Boom. And then you get the digital copy, and that makes sure that you can always have it on your phone, because usually, you know, that's how it happens. Come on up here, Comrade Siaka, waiting on you. I'm trying to buy time. I'm running out of work. But yeah, this brother is extremely solid, and we do incredible work together. Brother's probably like single-handedly developed the Southern region, recruited almost everybody. And what we're working on now is really increasing our social media presence and just our online presence overall. We want to do that in a coordinated fashion. I was talking to Director Akile about making sure that we have in the Southern region, we have like an online hub, so that, you know, when we have videos of this performance, and other videos. It's all in one place, and then Agitprop has access to it. They approve, and then they can go ahead and push it out.
Yes, yes. Joining this movement and being part of this movement is something that we call upon everybody to be part of. We live in a day and age in which our humanity every single day is constantly under attack. A government system that doesn't recognize us as people, doesn't treat you like a dignified human being, that robs you of your everyday life, necessity and value. So we call upon you today to be part of something larger than life. Not only do we owe it to our each other, but we owe it to the generations to come after us. And we hope that at the end of this presentation, you will be moved to join the struggle, to join the movement for liberation of all African oppressed people globally, not just here, but globally. From my people in Pakistan to Haiti, to Sudan, to the Congo, we say freedom all.
Freedom.
All right. So with that being said, comrades, I hope y'all ready to dive into this presentation. It's going to be a good one. We about to dive deep right now.
And I also want to note that in Africa, they're doing in Africa, it's like today they're hosting regional mini intensives where they're learning about, you know, the history of the party, deepening their understanding of theory. And I mean, you better get with it to get left behind. That's all I'm saying. All right, are we good? All right, I'm gonna open it up. This is now until Uhuru. Uhuru means freedom. And so we say now until we are free, not just Africans living in North America. You know, this ain't no 5-state thing. We talking everybody. I'm talking about Africans that could be my cousin in Jamaica, to the Africans that might be my great auntie in some other country, but we have been divided. And we were one people. That's why we said 1 billion strong. See, when you lock yourself into the hyphenated thing, you just become, you know, I don't know, what is it, American Negro, whatever they're calling it. But when you tie yourself to an identity, then you become a part of a nation. And if your nation is 1 billion strong, if your nation has a homeland where all the resources are, let's go beyond cobalt and coal. Let's go beyond the smartphones. Let's go to military. Let's take it back. Let's go to coffee and cocoa. I'm talking the colonial mode of production. We just want to eliminate the colonial mode of production. And then we'll address the other things will fall in line, but the identity is key. And what we're gonna learn in this early part of this segment is the life and legacy and the teachings and how identity plays such a critical part and why she could even write an autobiography that would sell in such a capacity. Because she's not the only one that this has happened to. She's not a unique African woman that's made special by any certain circumstances besides being colonized like the rest of us. It's the other things that we're gonna learn that separate her from the rest. Next slide. Assata recognized the importance of joy. Is that the first one? I think we might be missing a couple of ones. Can we go back? Is that number 2? They're blocked off? What does that mean? How do I undo that? Oh, I click that? Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. All right, 1 second. We'll be able to get this going. Okay, is that? I don't have that version. I'll have to read down from it. Oh, no, okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna speak it out. Her early life, she was born, she had a colonial name. Assata Shakur is not her birth name. She changed her name. A lot of Africans change their names because the colonizer might give you a name and then your parents just keep using the name. Right. They don't know no better, so they just keep using it. Now, you are politically educated. You say, oh, I live on a domestic colony named North America, and I'm just using this enslaved name, I'm going to change my name to an African name. It's a part of reclaiming identity. Usually the first step to decolonize your mind is to change your colonized name to an African name. I was born with an African name because my parents were, and a lot of us already have African names, Ashanti, etc. So, you know, that's generally the first step. And she was born in 1947, July 16th. I don't know the horoscope, so I'm not going to get into all of that. But 1947 was an incredibly pivotal year. There was a lot going on when she was born. But I want to be clear that under colonialism, there's always something going on, right? So there's some war, somebody's being attacked, and in her life, there was no different. This is right around the Cold War era. There's just there's a lot of flag independence going on, we'll be honest. Flag independence is not true independence. It's the kind of independence they'll give Nigeria. So you can say Nigeria, but the colonial mode of production is still the same. So they're still taking all the gold, they're still taking all the leather and stuff. So we don't really acknowledge that, but it's important because what is happening is that there are struggles on the ground between the colonized peoples rising up. The flag independence was a result of neo-colonial efforts to disrupt the true revolutionary efforts of the peoples. But I want to state that identity is such a critical component. And her name that she changed it to, Assata, comes from Ashasta or Assata, who is she who struggles. Olubala, her name means for the people, and Shakur means the thankful. My name is Jainaba Shakur Lumumba, and Shakur, Biko, my father, named me after this African woman, and that is also an important part. Sometimes you may name your child after an African woman, like Katura Zane is a young child named after revolutionaries, so that as the child grows up, regardless, he may find his way back and say, well, I'm named after so-and-so, and then you may assume the responsibilities and to be curious and to live like that person. So Assata, she who struggles, Olubala, for the people, and the thankful. And she identified as an African, and that's a critical thing. Recognizing that North America is a domestic colony, that helped shape her understanding even of the role of the police, right? Police stop you what they say. You just hands up and you just do whatever they say. She understood, she had a different understanding of identity. And in this book, Chairman even reads, the question of the nation is important. It shouldn't take much for us as African people to understand the significance of this question, seeing what is happening to our Africa. In the 19th century, we saw the ridiculous carving up of Africa. Now we're told that all of these little creations of imperialism created to facilitate imperialist extraction are separate and distinct nations. So the Cameroonians are calling themselves Little Shrimp based on, I mean, that's what Cameroon means. And then you got Ivory Coast and they're just they're calling themselves Ivorian Coastian. I don't even know what would they say. You know, it's like San Diegans. Like, I don't even know, San Diegan? What do we call these people? So we recognize this as illegitimate, and I think ridiculous is the appropriate word. And so that's where, you know, the worldview becomes critical because, again, she recognized the importance of joining a political party that would represent her. She knew she couldn't go to the Democrats. She knew she couldn't go to the Republicans. So she joined the Black Panther Party because that was the political party that represented her as well as the other African working class individuals. And that is such an important part. That is probably one of the most critical parts. You can't have an Assata Shakur without a political understanding because you have to have leadership and someone has to guide you. She don't come to, I'm an African and I'm a political prisoner. All slaves are political prisoners by just being chased by the police. All right. Say again? Stay by the mic. Oh, stay by the mic. Next slide, please. Oh, yes, and the last note. African People's Socialist Party is the political party of the African working class today. And you might have seen the campaigns with Director Akile as well. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. And that's important because we want you to be like Assata, which means we want you to join a political party. And I think that one of the most important parts is to not overthink what it means to be a revolutionary. I think that that's one of the things, everybody's waiting to get chased by the police. Don't wait on it, it's coming, it can't come. But my point is that sometimes you think of these grandiose moments or something big has to happen. The revolutionary lives in a nail salon. The revolutionary lives in a hair salon. The revolutionary is at the barber shop. I'm a revolutionary. It's important that we understand that it's not such a grandiose thing. You just get involved. You just sign up. That's just how you start. And then this is a quote. I've declared war on the rich who prosper on our poverty. Oh, hey y'all. I've declared war on the rich who prosper on our poverty. And the politicians who lie to us with smiling faces and all the mindless, heartless robots who protect them and their property. Next slide. Okay. Oh,
Because I think that much.
yep, yeah. So we're gonna hear from Assata in her own words. We'll have several clips. Hi, you guys. He was an African American, guys, scooping up things. So we see that there's some warped things, that this thing can be manipulated. And so he says that Chairman continues and finalizing this section that, few of us have given much thought to the question beyond that, except that we see other Black people who look like us in other places, right? Oh, yeah, there's Black community in Mexico. Oh, that's kind of like that's as far as a lot of Africans can get. And that's why it's so important when we talk about Assata Shakur, and we remind you can't just get to these high level discussions and understandings, especially about your identity, without guidance. Without a theory to guide her there. Because we've heard and seen, and especially through like the BLM movement, just a lot of like incomplete conclusions and sort of like even misunderstanding just the entire question. You can't get an Assata Shakur out of that. Just because you might get a Condoleezza, you ain't gonna get no Assata. You just can't. You get a Assata, you get a Kila and Nine, that's literally a 21st century Assata right here. You know what I'm saying? They stole her, the FBI lied, told her that somebody was stealing out of her car, stole her laptops, constantly harassing. I mean, so here we are, dealing with how do we live like Assata, and again, it goes back to having political anchor to help you develop. And I think that is important. And the last sentence just says that, therefore, our concept of nation has been imposed on us. Basically, they carve up the nation, they call you a name, and then boop, we all, supposed to just accept that. And I think it's important that even we acknowledge the fact that the question that nations, you look at Israel, right? Israel didn't even exist beyond, what was it, 19, yeah. When my granddaddy was born, there was no Israel, So the question of the nation, and look at the citizens of this so-called nation, right? So these are all things that you really have to be studying outside of, you got to get educated. You can't get educated. You can't be an educated fool, graduate out of FAMU, you become an educated fool. Ask me how I know. Be an educated fool, or you can have political education that really serve to help Assata, because Assata didn't just escape from any certain circumstances. She didn't go, I think the athlete he just got caught out of Dubai. Yeah, some athlete did something, police wanted him, he fled, went to Dubai. Political prisoner, if you're an African and you're needing to go somewhere, you ain't gonna go to Dubai. Don't go there. They gonna send you right on back. They gonna call it, Trump gonna be like, where's he at? They're gonna be like, let me get my GPS drone on it, and then he's gonna be right at home. Assata went to Cuba. How did she know to go to Cuba? The political relationship between the U.S. and Cuba. Assata said, Cuba is America's enemy, so that's my friend. When Jamie said that she humiliated the U.S. government, I'm telling y'all, you can go on YouTube and see her shopping around. Oh, passion fruit. She's screaming like speed. She over there screaming, humiliated the U.S. government, because the citizens, they on her side. Oh, you ain't coming up in here with, you're not coming up in here getting nobody. You remember when ICE said that they were gonna round up the Haitians? Now they did get some of them, I stopped seeing all the footage. I don't know if I don't think it really worked out because when she knew that she would be isolated. She had already been abused, tortured, and she was isolated. So when she fled to a place that would politically surround her. Like the babies, you know, the rhinos, when it's time to protect the babies, everybody forms a massive circle around the babies. And heads will roll if you take a step in towards them. And that's what the Cuban people did. And not just the Cuban people, because there are a lot of Cubans in Miami who don't have that same politics, right? So it's not just the people, it's the ideology. They were properly educated. So they knew, oh no, we're not ever gonna give her up because they're gonna torture her, abuse her. We're on her side, not their side. And that's incredibly important. We good? All right, we got the video. Let's roll.
The video will be a little distorted, but you'll be able to hear the audio.
Because I think that much more needs to be known out here in the world about what is going on in the United States, because the United States government always projects this image throughout the world that it is a champion of human rights. And the reality of that situation is that the United States is the biggest violator of human rights, not only in the United States, but all over the world.
So yeah, she was saying not only in the United States, but all over the world. That goes right into what her saying. This slide. Oh, is this your slide, comrade?
Next one.
Oh, this next one.
Yep.
Okay. But this reads right here about colonial capitalism. And it basically explains that United States economy, the colonial mode of production, is rooted in the best of indigenous land and the best of African people to work this indigenous land. And so, yeah, that's an incredibly, it's very basic and fundamental, but you sort of have to beat the fundamentals in there. Yeah, because you walk around and then, I don't know, you might start singing a national anthem or something. I don't know. But yeah, just want to go to the next slide, comrade.
Yeah. Give it up for my comrade, James Remember. And find this microphone. All right, like comrade was saying, like
She's saying for the online, you got to speak in.
fundamentally, it's so simple. But the first thing you do when you're 4 or 5 years old, we send our children off to school. And inside of school, that's the indoctrination process. And this starts young. They have our children reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, giving allegiance to the nation that has historically oppressed our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, the world globally, right? This nation has been the main perpetrator of oppression, murder, poverty, globally, all over the world. But they got us walking around confused, right? We learn every single thing about ourselves from our oppressors. We send our children to these schools of indoctrination, and they adopt the same values and principles as our oppressors, right? So everything that is antithetical or against our own existence, we learn to help reinforce and help keep up, right? So we need to decolonize our minds. It's time to learn more about who we are as African people, the civilizations that we built. It's time to fight back against the system that's at its root, right? And we ain't looking to repair this thing. We're looking to throw the whole thing out. All right, so Comrade Assata, going back to the presentation with the shootout on the turnpike. In May 1972, 2 New Jersey state troopers stopped a vehicle on the turnpike carrying Assata and Assata Shakur and Sundiata Ali. A gunfight broke out, but they say it was a gunfight. However, it was the state apparatus that forged charges against Assata, saying that she was complicit in helping someone flee. She was an accomplice of a crime. But these was built up charges, framed up charges from a weaponized, a truly murderous policy called COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO uh, came up with false charges, false narratives. They painted these people who were fighting for human rights and dignity and salvation as thieves, as murderers, as people who we should be afraid of. When we know that it's the United States government that put our ancestors in chains, it's the United States government that dropped bombs on black community here in Philadelphia. Tell me who's the real criminal. Right? Not the people fighting for freedom, justice, truth, peace, equality. So these were framed up charges. So once she was stopped, she was shot by this racist. And I can't say what I want to say because kids in here, but she was shot with her hands up and taken into custody. One police officer was killed. I ain't gonna say what I want to say about that. But Zaid, another comrade, was murdered in this incident as well. Later, due to the strategic and well thought out plan of comrades from the Black Liberation Army, while she was locked up being tortured every single day, put in the worst conditions, her comrades came to her aid and broke her out of prison. Next slide, please. So she became the FBI most wanted, the first female to make it on the FBI most wanted list. In 2013, she was placed on the terrorist list to be one of the most wanted, and her bounty was raised from $1 million to $2 million during this time. A reward up to $2 million was offered for information leading to her capture and return to U.S. custody. Next slide, please. So let's talk about Assata being in Cuba. So we got to give a salute and hand clap to the Cuban government, all right, for housing that comrade. This was no small feat. The Cuban government said that Comrade Assata Shakur is on the right side of history. They chose to stand up against the U.S. empire, right, being in such a close proximity to them, knowing what it could mean for the country. But because historically, Cuba has been on the right side of history when it comes to fighting against U.S. imperialism, which U.S. imperialism is the complete manipulation or control of another country through coups, through going in and taking control of its natural resources. Right. A system in which the U.S. Does these type of measures in order to enrich itself. Right. In this billionaire class. So when you're looking at some of the goods and services that we have here today, when it comes to things like cocoa, gold, resources like iridium, uranium, all these natural resources that make up all these components, such as things in our computers, our cars, all these natural resources have to come here. They don't come from the U.S. Right. The U.S. imperializes nations, put up puppet governments, puppet regimes, and they control these people's resources. Right. Not only that, they were propped up manufacturing facilities. And what they would do is that they would create these warehouses that looked like a form of a slave labor in which these people live in poverty conditions and get paid barely nothing in order for them to sustain themselves. And then we get the byproduct of the cotton in the form of a nice shirt. We get the byproduct of the cocoa in the form of a Hershey's bar. You get the byproduct of iridium in the shape of your cell phone. All these things make up what we call imperialism. So that's just a quick overall breakdown. But after escaping U.S. political imprisonment in 1979, Assata lived underground until reaching Cuba, where she was granted asylum in 1984. Cuba's revolutionary government recognized her as a freedom fighter, persecuted her freedom fighter for opposing racism and imperialism in the U.S. On the right, she stated she felt freedom for the first time. There was a quote from her that says, "I was no longer property of the U.S. government." Her asylum embodied Cuba's anti-imperialist principle of solidarity with all oppressed peoples. Next slide, please. So while she was in Cuba, she studied every single day. I mean, this is a new way of life here. This is going from one place in which people live isolated. Uh, People don't know their neighbors. Every time that we're talking to somebody, we feel a sense of dis-ease or wondering how this person is going to use us. Black people every single day when we walk out the house, we have to think about being black by being in these different spaces. We feel like certain communities we may be looked at differently or stared at or prejudged, right? But in Cuba, she was able to walk around and feel like a human being. A human being. She seen that people looked out for each other. And even though it wasn't a place in which they have access to all these luxuries and concessions from capitalism that we have given you, she may not have Netflix or cable or electricity working all the time, but she see that even though people live in these conditions, that something that they were rich in was the human spirit. And here, we are devoid of that. We have a wealth of material good, but we have a poverty of human spirit in this country. And she was able to see that in Cuba, like they actually look out for each other. So when people tell you that Cuba, oh, they live in poverty, they don't have electricity running all day, or the water is cold, and people don't have like the Mickey D's everywhere, the Burger Kings and the Walmarts everywhere abundantly. Well, okay. Do you judge your civilization based off its technological advancements, or do you judge your civilization based off how you treat people? Right? Because America is a civilized civilization, but Cuba is a civilized nation. Okay? Next slide, please. So she carried the struggle beyond borders. She maintained correspondence with Africans, Cubans, Latin Americans, liberation movements all across the world. She wrote letters and essays urging U.S. radicals to see Black liberation as part of a global anti-imperialist front. That's deep. Not only, she didn't look at our fight here as some isolated incident. It's a continuum. I always tell people that I gotta give a shout out to the Haitian Revolution, because it was Haiti which gave the birth and the genesis of Black resistance. And I always say that the revolution didn't end in Haiti; it just begun, and we are part of a continuum from Haiti to Sudan to the Congo to Zambia. Africans everywhere contributing to global liberation. Our movements, our fights are not isolated. They are part of a larger continuum, right? Because the attack on Africa wasn't just on one part of Africa. It was European powers come together to go into our motherland, to traffic us, to dehumanize us, to steal our labor, to steal our resources. They just didn't steal labor out of Ghana. They went all over. So the struggle for true liberation not only must be led by the African working class, but it's a global struggle to combat imperialism and colonialism and any manifestations of it when it rises up. Some of the one essay that Assata wrote that truly stood out to me was things called Letters to My People, or Message to My People. And in that essay, in that writing, she urged Black people to organize themselves and to fight for liberation through socialist principles. And the thing that's tricky about this country is that they will have you learn about socialism, communism, and they're gonna demonize that thing, right? They're gonna say, oh, he's a communist. Oh, he's a socialist. Oh, he believes in a dictatorship. God dang right we believe in dictatorship, a dictatorship of the working class. Because right now, we've been living in dictatorship this whole time. right? They got people walking around confused. I talked to this European a couple of days ago, and he said that he came over from Germany and made something of himself. I said, "Oh, so you just willfully left Germany?" My people were trafficked over here. And not only was my people trafficked over here, I don't have any recollection or any knowledge of my native tongue, my history, where my ancestors came from. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the psychological damaging effect of colonialism. So you came over here willfully, my people were trafficked over here. Next slide, please. Assata on the blockade defending Cuba from colonial aggression. She denounced the U.S. blockade as an economic warfare, a crime against humanity. She exposed how the blockade punishes the Cuban people for choosing socialism. Right. She drew parallels between the U.S. policy toward Cuba and state violence against African communities in America. She called on revolutions to defend Cuba as part of defending liberation everywhere. If they destroy Cuba, she said, they destroy one of our last examples of hope. Her stance linked the fight against imperialism abroad to the struggle against capitalism and white supremacy at home. Cuba was one of the nations that successfully overthrew U.S. imperialism. For that crime, in the U.S. eyes, for fighting for liberation, a egalitarian system in which people have a say-so of their democracy, can nationalize their resources, have food for everybody, free healthcare, free education, for pushing back against U.S. imperialism. The U.S. has put embargoes on Cuba since the 1950s. And embargoes are a violent policy. It's a violent, murderous policy, because what it does is that it isolates this country. And any country that wishes to do any type of trade with that country could be penalized or subject to U.S. retaliation. And when you are the most murderous, dehumanized, barbaric country on the planet, you are willing to starve children, starve families, displace them, just for you to say that this is what happens when you go against me. So Cuba has been suffering. People like to point at Cuba as a failed socialist state. And I had this argument a couple of days ago. This guy told me that everywhere he sees socialism, he sees that it's not working. And I said, well, do you know the true reason why it's not working? The true nature of that country's oppression? The true nature of that socialism cannot work as long as the U.S. is attacking and forcing coups and destabilizing nations through these type of economic warfare tactics. Additionally, I told him that look at the foundation of this country that we stand on, the foundation of colonial capitalism. Tell me what's this root? He said, well, it was the Industrial Revolution. I said, wrong. The foundation of this country is slavery, chattel slavery, in which people were unpaid for 250 years, and the accumulation of wealth in this small elite group was able to build tremendously over that 250 years. And I'm saying after that 250 years, let's look at Jim Crow, the policies that was enacted in the South. Let's look at the destruction and dismantlement of the black communities in which were building themselves up in order to provide food, clothing, and shelter and business opportunities for our people that were purposely built on, burnt down, and people displaced and have to move. Let's look at that history first before we dare say something negative about these socialist states. Next slide, please. So Assata's lifelong commitment to liberation. Revolution is about change. So how can you live like Assata Shakur? And we would like to invite you in this room, if you're not already, and let's watch it, to join the African People's Socialist Party. We want you to join the ranks of a party that represents the true interests of the African working class. And not only do we owe it to each other to be part of the global struggle for liberation and socialism, but we owe it to our ancestors who bled, who died, who fought for us to be where we are today. If you want to create a world in which you don't have to worry about the criminalization of poverty, you don't have to worry about working 40 hours a week, living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to worry about going outside and worry about the police harassing you. You don't have to worry about going to the doctor and not being able to afford the health care bill. You don't have to worry about these people slashing your ability to feed your families. If you care about your community and love your people, join the Vanguard today.
Yeah, I second that. I just really want to salute this comrade presentation.
Thank you, guys.
This man, you can put him in front of the camera and he good.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say, the last slide did read that, and we have to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
Yes.
I mean, even with everything that we're explaining, just like Assata Shakur needed leadership, we have leadership in a lot of the understanding that you're hearing. I mean, I know for some people it's all brand new. For some, like those who might have helped with our library, we do have a resource library. And the sister right here, I just want to recognize the work that you did in building that community resource library. That is a revolutionary act. That's what it means to be a revolution. You just lend your skills to the revolution. But it's driven by the theory. It's driven by the theory of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. We have to acknowledge him. We have to acknowledge the work that he has done because it has changed the world. You see it all over. People talk about colonialism. Socialism isn't the oogie boogie word anymore. Trump tried to scare everybody in New York by calling the old boy a communist, and it worked in the opposite. It worked in a reverse direction. Right. Chairman Omali Yeshitela made reparations a household word. And it wasn't just like the Dave Chappelle skit where everybody's like getting checked, hide the money, y'all. It's really raising the reparations question in a strategic manner because it's a revolutionary demand. Right. And I just really want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, all of the incredible work of the entire Central Committee, yes, and the work of the Southern region as well, all of the regions. In Africa, we're located. In Europe, we're located. And we do work just like this. We want you to get involved. So if you have your program on the back, there's a couple of things that I want everybody to do. If you want to join SCAN and join the APSP, it'll take you to the website, learn about the APSP. And there's really only three things. I mean, if I could give you like the three steps to kind of get started into being more like Assata today, the first thing to do would join a political party. If you're not ready to join a political party, join a mass organization that works underneath that political party, because that political party is going to be leading it. And then that way you know that the resources are going where they're supposed to go, and all of the work that you're doing, you'll be able to see that. So you get involved in those ways. That's the first thing that you can do. Second thing you want to do is you want to get involved when you get involved.
Yeah. Like join Impedim's Thursday night study circles.
Exactly.
Like if you want to engage in like real conversations, learn about the true nature of our oppression, what we can do, or if you care about police brutality, right? Like that, and that's something that you want to tackle, or maybe high rent, right, and helping form some type of tenant unions, whatever issue that you care about. You have Impedum. Impedum is a great space for people who haven't traditionally been part of mass movements and looking to be part of something. And they do study circles every single Thursday, and it's virtual. And guess what? It don't cost you anything to join.
And if you like to write, we have poetry oftentimes from Akile in here, but I would love to see Jameer Jenkins published right here, published. right here. And you can go online. You can go online and you can submit the things online, you know what I mean? And one of our representatives will get in contact with you. And if you know someone who has a business, tell them to place an ad in this newspaper because it's enough TikToks going around. We need more of real. Let these kids read the news and write and be a part of the news and to really take it on. And so we also have here there's some small notes. If you own a business, you can place an ad in the Sphere as low as $40. A business card size ad, drop it in there. That way, if you're a barber shop owner or whatever, you can start to get the word out. And perhaps there's an issue going on that you saw or you were a part of. You can write about that. And we even have political editors. So if you sound like an Akila and I, or a Chairman Omali Shatella, or an Assata Shakur, we're going to take that. We're going to say, hey, I read this. You use white supremacy. We don't use terms like that. Let me help you with that. And then, boom, we get you published. Now you sound like Assata Shakur, and you can get involved in that way. And then also, we have our huru pies. We want everyone to purchase our delicious pies. This is, a revolutionary act. And so we have 6-inch and 9-inch options. Our holiday pies are available. There's a little QR code that's going to take you right to the link. I know you're ready. I know you're excited about that. We have a little QR code, takes you right to the link. It's available for pickup. We have 2 locations, different days, but it'll take you right there. And we're also hiring. We are looking for a full-time Sphere salesman, someone who can work 5 days a week. There's earning capacity. When it's a low startup cost, you get a bundle of them and you find your place, whether it's going around the city or whether you decide to get, a little chair with the canopy shade on it. You got your water bottles like the man who typically sits in the intersections. And then you distribute the Spheres out. And that's just it's a great way for people to earn money. You can grow your territory. You can build the community with something meaningful, and then connect and also sell ads and gain other revenue in that way. So, I just couldn't stop without recognizing the over 50 institutions, the longest running revolutionary newspaper in
Come on now, get
print. Not just that, but literally the unification of the entire African the African nation under an all African socialist government. I want to say a couple of things. I know we're pretty much, I got 1 minute. And I want to say everybody's talking about Africa, Africa, Africa. Why Africa? And Africa is so critical. Africa is like the most critical question. I know that it sometimes seems like we're just talking about feelings and like the motherland and all these things. But it's truly an incredible question. I'm not talking about going back to Africa, because we've seen a lot of the go back to Africa moves. The reason it's important to have political parties. In Ghana, for example, there's a lot of gold in Ghana. Surprise, right? Mansa Musa, we all know. A lot of gold in Africa still, to this day. The Africans have started going back to dig the gold. There's a new Ghana commission. They have changed the rules to where, because it used to just be white boy go out there and just start digging for gold, right? And then how it was, you just get you a pot, you sieve it out, and you get the gold, and you can take it back, and you can sell it, whatever. But now that black folks have been coming and starting to doing the same businesses, now they have a whole thing called, it's like a whole commission they've started. You can't just go and dig up gold no more. This started like last year, 2 years ago. So I'm letting you know that it's bigger than just go back to the motherland and whoop-de-doo. No, you have to be organized. You need a political party. Has it been done before? Yes. This, what we're doing, is not new. Marcus Garvey had up to 11 million black people around the world in one organization.
Right.
Low estimates read 6 million. So we could ride with 6 at one time, everybody in the same organization. The same organization that gave us Malcolm X, his parents were involved in it. That's how big it was. We are the 21st century Garveyites. They were putting sugars in the tanks when we got the steamships. Not because we were trying to take a joyride, but they knew that if we could connect to the cocoa, first of all, the recipes for chocolate was about to be off the chain. Hershey's wasn't gonna stand a chance. Hershey wasn't gonna stand a chance. But the fact that we would have control and be able to live a life without having to even deal with them in our face for some chocolate, for some coffee, and to be able to say that's ours and you can't have it. Look what you did to the bananas. Look what you did to the, you've seen the dust storms. That didn't come because of just dusty in the Midwest. It killed all the buffalo. They didn't know how to replenish and let the soil rest. And it just caused dust storms. African working class must lead, period. Indigenous people must lead. We can't just have this going on for the rest of our lives. So it doesn't take much but you getting involved. It doesn't take much but for you to go and sell a spear. It doesn't take much for you to join a meeting. If you can't make this meeting, guess what? I'm gonna call you back. See if you can make the next one. We need people to be phone banking. That person in New York who was elected had the most, it was record votes for him. Some sort of socialist, you know, and he's using that term because it's a winning term, because Chairman O'Malley should tell us laid the foundation for socialism to even be accepted. Now you got what's the old man's name? Bernie Sanders talking about he's socialist and all these things. So we have to reclaim the definitions. We have to continue with that because left to their own devices, they're gonna get it wrong. So we need you, and I need you. Lead the Southern region, and it's a growing region, and I'm just so happy to have everybody here. But I really want to say that Assata Shakur lives in you today. So let the revolutionary in you shine. Do not hold her back. Do not do that. And him, y'all, them, us, everybody. So I just want to really struggle around that. Because, you know, we all really revolutionaries. You just can't let the police push you that far to where you finally to figure it out at the last minute. You know, we don't need you in Cuba. We need you right here, you know. And we're going to protect you right here. So you don't need to go to Cuba anymore. You just come to the courthouse. We got you. But I want to say, I salute everybody for being here. Please take some time, mingle, get to know y'all. It's not often where you get to be around people who are like-minded, you know, can sit in a room and have these types of discussions. So I really want to promote that. I want to say thank you all for coming out and spending your evening with me. And I wish you all a hoodoo. What we do at the end of our shows, we say, Izweletu, Africa, Izweletu. Wait, hold on, we got a hand up with hoodoo. Oh! Do we have some pies on deck? Yes, we do. All right, Comrade Janice right here is going to raise her hand and get with you. We get you a pie. Yeah. Yeah, they all, listen, that kitchen is right in the back. We got real fresh pies ready. So yeah, with that, what we do is we say Izweletu Africa. Izweletu means Africa or is our land. Africa is Africa. And then I'll repeat it back. Africa Izweletu. So I would say Izweletu Africa. Africa Izweletu. Uhuru, comrades, uhuru! Uhuru!